Welcome to Module 8. In this video, we are going to be getting an introduction into something called the XY plane. So at this point in the course, we have learned a lot about linear equations. We have learned their characteristics, how to solve them, what it means to have a solution to an equation, and other things. Now we're going to take these linear equations and begin to put them on graphs. However, prior to doing so, let's learn the system we use to graph equations. And that system is called the XY plane. So here are some important definitions to know. So the XY plane is essentially a two-dimensional space that we draw out that is defined by two axes. These axes are called these axes are the x-axis and the y-axis. So the x-axis is a horizontal number line, and the y-axis is a vertical number line. And then when these two axes, because this x-axis, so if we don't know or understand, so a horizontal number line means we have a number line that looks like this. And then vertical means the number line goes up and down. And these two lines, when you create this XY plane, they actually intersect. And this intersection of these number lines of this x-axis and this y-axis is at the point 0, 0, which is known as the origin. So this is going to be our y-axis because that is our vertical number line. So we're going to say that's y. And then our x-axis, remember, that is your horizontal number line. So I'm going to draw it out like this. So we have y and x. Now here, this is where the lines intersect. So this is where our origin is. And then last but not least, a point, because we have the point 0, 0, I also want to bring up the idea of a point on the coordinate grid or a point on the XY plane. And a point is just a given spot on this particular plane. And points are plotted by using the set of ordered pairs x, comma, y. And in this particular section, we're not going to go into plotting points. That's actually the next section. But just to get the idea of what a point is and that they exist. So for example, this origin here is a point. When x is 0 and then y is 0, it's right here. So now that we got all these definitions down, let's begin to actually draw out a complete XY plane and see what it looks like and define a couple terms. So I'm first going to start off by drawing out this x-axis here, which is that horizontal number line. And then I'm going to draw this y-axis, which is the vertical number line. Just a little. There you go, that's a little bit better. And then when you draw these axes, or these axes, well, the plural term for axis is axes. So I'll write that actually. Yeah. You don't really need to know that for sure, really, too much. It's not super important, but I'll say axes is plural for axis. Okay. So So now that we got the axes drawn out, I'm now going to draw an arrow on all the ends of these axes. And these arrows are indicating that these lines are going forever in the direction that they're pointing at. So here, this number line here, remember, that is the x-axis. And then this vertical number line here, remember, that is our y-axis. And then these arrows, remember, are indicating that this arrow here specifically, for example, that is indicating that this number line is going up forever to infinity. And then this part here is going down forever to infinity. This number here is going to this arrow is saying we're going to the right forever, and this arrow here is saying we're going to the left forever. Okay, so with that being said, now let's begin to actually put numbers on these so-called number lines, or these axes. So I'm going to start off with the x-axis, and I'm going to start going in their positive direction. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then I'm going to go to the left of this number line here, or to the left of the x-axis. So we're going to be now going into the negatives. So we're going to have -1, -2, -3, -4, and -5. And then looking at our y-axis, our positive terms are going to be when we're above the x-axis. So since we're above the x-axis here, these are going to be our positive. This is where the positive numbers are going to be on our y-axis. So we're going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then below the x-axis, that's where our negative numbers are going to be. So here we're going to have -1, -2, -3, -4, and -5. So we got both our axes drawn out now. We have all of our tick marks. I didn't have that as a definition, but this here, this is a tick mark, 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 that's a tick mark, and it goes on forever. And then the last thing we haven't defined yet on this xy plane is the origin. Now remember, that's where these lines intersect. So since the lines intersect here, this point here, 0, 0, that is what is called the origin of the xy plane.